I feel like it would also be dangerous in the current context to put the schematics for a bionic eye on the Creative Commons.
No way. Get it on GitHub. Let anyone 3D print it. 3D print it. Do it at home. Welcome to Mandatory Redistribution Party. My name is Sean Morley.
And my name is Jack Lewis Evans.
This episode asks, what are the limits of technology for humanity under an economic model where everything is designed to break?
We're talking about the possibilities and perils of cyberpunk body modding, the limits of capitalism for preserving our history and pipes.
I'm sorry if my audio is sounding a little weird on the intro.
Yeah, sorry listeners, the internet's down, so we've had to lay 40 miles of pipe between Sean's house and mine. He's talking into it in Sheffield and I've got a little mic at this end.
Can you hear me all right?
Huh?
Am I coming through okay?
Sorry, what?
It's because magpies chewed through the wires.
The internet wires, I know.
The mains, I can't get anything on.
Are the magpies okay?
What are your feelings on magpies? Would hearing about a magpie getting really hurt upset you?
Yes, it would upset me a lot.
They're doing great.
Sean's pipe was only possible with the support of you, our listeners, and we are extremely grateful for that support. You can subscribe to our Patreon on patreon.com/mandatory redistribution party, where you can find extra content deemed too powerful or too stupid for wide release.
We also appreciate those who lend us a helping hand through the biggest pipe of all, social media. Sure, dropping a podcast recommendation to the combined eyes of your colleagues, family, and acquaintances might seem like a little thing to you, but oh boy, to us it means the world.
This month and next, we're taking Mandos live into Manchester, Sheffield, and London with our new comedy show, Hostile Takeover. Check out the episode description for more details and ticket links.
Hang on, Jack, what are you doing now?
What do you mean?
Well, why have you come into the pipe?
I'm not in the pipe. I'm here. I'm at the other end of the pipe watching the levels.
Hang on, then who's this scurrying around in here? He's going to muffle my contributions.
Hey! Get out of there!
I'm on the podcast now.
Hey, Guy, can you get out of our pipe, please?
This is our pipe. Right, I'm going to get the broom.
I'm going to talk about the vaccine.
Can you please get out of this? Is our private pipe for our business.
We built this pipe.
Well, we've already had a few episodes flagged for that already, actually. So can you not? Jack, get him. Jack, kill him. Jack, honestly, turn the recording off and kill him. If you lived in some cyberpunk future,
we already do.
Well, you know,
there's a take for you.
That's really good, actually.
Thanks. And no one's ever said that before. Actually, that's new. It's like
a brand new thought. Write it down.
It's when
get it on the blockchain.
Have you ever heard someone say, Batman?
Yeah,
Batman's actually a billionaire. So
yeah, he should do Peter Singer style effective altruism.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm going to start saying? You're telling me a shrimp fried. But when I get served anything.
And then going, came up with that. That's mine.
That's actually mine. Yeah.
You can have that. So, yeah, sorry. What were you asking?
I'm just, when you said that, I'm just thinking of all the times, like, the idea of ever saying, that's mine, that's mine. It's like if ever you have to say it, and it can be true. Like,
even
it
if it's
can be true.
Yeah, someone originated the things.
And there's so many things like online, and people are like, that was me. I was like the first tweet.
Yeah.
You know, I was the first guy to say it. Yeah, I was the first person on Twitter to combine the word goblin and mode.
Yeah, someone did that.
And it's like, Sorry, mate.
Sorry.
It's gone off.
It's not yours anymore.
Yeah, it's gone off. It's been absorbed. It's gone into the Borg, which is something I've learnt about recently.
I've got him! I've got him!
I'm only a little baby, though. It's a big cube. Very scary.
No, real scary shit, right?
No, it's just a cube. How bad could it be? Just to tell you, I paused mid-episode and I thought this would be a pushover. This cube. I don't see any guns. If you lived in a cyberpunk future, would you modify your body with future tech?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, what would be your first thing?
Like, already tech influences what we do, right? So even to the extent of like changing your biology, like if you go too hard on like TikTok or something, or video games, it can like fuck with your dopamine levels, and thereby the technology, which has become like a fundamental part of your life, is changing the like organic aspects of your being. Interaction between technology and humanity. I don't think there's going to be this like line where it's like, we're in cyberpunk now. I think cyberpunkification began when the first human made fire.
Okay, quite a big. Okay. I mean, I want to push back on that a little. I don't think it's as blurry as that. I think, I didn't become a cyborg transhuman the first time I played Yoshi's Island so much I got a headache. Because I'm like, my brain's been affected by the machine. My eyes hurt because I don't blink as much when I play the computer games.
I just kept going hard until you pushed back.
Now I know that's my job to disagree. Harmony is bad content.
All entertainment must be based on conflict.
Did you hear? This is like sort of, it's like important junk science from like 10 or 15 years ago. Yeah. But when they were trying to understand the brain, a lot of the brain is based on
the brain.
Do you know the brain?
Not our brain.
101.
The brain.
Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
You don't have my brain, and I don't have your brain.
I sure don't.
But we both have.
One day I will.
Brains. No, please. Please. I don't understand what that threat is, but I don't want it to come to pass.
Can we put in each of our wills that whoever dies first, the other person has the rights to their brain?
What do you mean by the rights? Like to own or to use?
Just, all rights.
I was going to say I'm okay with you having it. I'm not, but I'd rather you just like have it. Like a little museum.
No, I'm bringing you back. I'm creating Cyberpunk Shaw Morley, where you're in an android's body.
What? And you've spec'd it out?
Oh yeah, I'll kit it out.
No one's completely happy with their own body.
No.
But imagine you went into a body and like your mate made it.
It'd be a replica.
You'd hate that.
It'd be a replica of whatever you died in.
Don't replicate this. Come on, mate.
What do you want?
This.
Do you want like a? What do you want? What do you fancy? I'll sort you out.
Well, just don't include the eczema.
Yeah,
imagine you put me in my own body and you're like, your eczema's right where it was. And I'm like, I don't want that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I wasn't fond of that.
Yeah, put it in the will.
Yeah, same body, no eczema this time.
Yeah. You don't want to be. You don't want to be in like a sort of bipedal tank.
I just assumed that's what you'd give me. I just assumed that's what.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, what do you mean? Like, we're talking like a World War II tank, but instead of caterpillar treads, there's 2 human-sized legs. That would be.
I was more thinking like a Metal Gear or something, or.
Oh yeah, too big for a doorway. No.
Mm-hmm. I need to
be able to go into Greg's.
I can make you a little guy, like R2D2.
Yeah, Tom Thumb.
Yeah,
thumb-sized.
Yeah,
Ant-Man hanging out, small but indestructible.
So they're trying
constantly treading on me.
You're saying the brain. They're trying to understand the brain.
Oh, yeah. So what they tend to do, for a long time, a lot of like brain scan stuff, they put this isotope in your brain and it's like unstable and it'll fire off a little bit of antimatter that like a big thing will pick up on. And it shows you where...
That sounds bad.
It shows you where the blood is concentrated in your brain. So it knows like... Do you know when they talk about parts of the brain lighting up? That's really what they're talking about a lot of the time.
Okay.
And so that philosophy was like, go down and down and down and find out which bits turn on at which times. And they went down and down and down and down, and it led them to like these really absurd conclusions. And there's this one paper that said they believe there's a part of the brain which fires exclusively at the thought of Jennifer Aniston.
Well, now I'm thinking about Jennifer Aniston. That is fucking cyber. That's cyber junk.
I mean, that can't be correct. I think it's not correct.
It seems...
Because you can't be born with that.
You can grow it, though. You could grow it.
Imagine people in the 17th century had that, and it's like it's never
It just
turned on
hadn't been
yet.
activated. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been,
part of the brain
Wow.
that was never activated in the human mind until the 90s.
yeah. We have to go back to believing in God or like an intelligent design, if that was true.
But then Jennifer Aniston would have to be woven into the theology.
Yeah. Well,
And
not
that's,
just
for me, a problem.
not specifically. Well, are we saying they could only identify a Jennifer Aniston bit of the brain?
I think it was an example, and it's the example that's used kind of to trash the theory because it's like the most absurd conclusion
That
of
is
it.
absurd. Yeah. I love it though.
But I think when people think about hacking, they think about like hardware with metal subcutaneously doing stuff.
Yeah.
And that has sort of like people have like gotten chips,
Yeah.
maybe like ID chips and stuff subcutaneously in their arm or hand and stuff. I mean, most of the time, there's
People
just a
put it in
massive
pets.
infection risk. Like there's people walking around with gangrenous hands so they can like swipe their Oyster card with their palm.
Wow.
That's the kind of state of like transhumanism.
I mean, I like it, but the idea that like Elon Musk, manufacturer of various exploding things, is as a private individual is, well, on principle doesn't have to be Elon Musk, but is designing things that can go in the human body. But yeah, I don't know. I think in principle it's good. I don't think there's too much of a leap from like if you're okay with taking medication to there being some electronic thing that can shape the way you feel or behave in a way that you wish to alter.
Or there's even trials of like a pill that you swallow and then it opens up into a little robot and it can help clear things out in your tummy. Tummy robot.
Like a Roomba, but for your belly.
Kind of, yeah, and it will help regulate your acid and stuff.
Yeah, that's wild. Well, that's the other thing, isn't it? Is like the idea that the brain is where you live, you know, because your gut biome. There's a subset of people calling that like the second brain and stuff, isn't there? I think like everything, it's like if it were to happen under capitalism, it would doubtless be absolutely fucking horrible and atrocious, and it would be used for various horrific things. And then also, you know, just there's a million reactionary aspects of politics that are even sort of aside from capitalism, like transphobia or whatever, that could manifest in really horrific ways if body modding was, you know, took its kind of darkest path in terms of who it empowered and why it empowered it. So I sort of think like everything of it being a good or bad thing kind of depends on the system and the context in which it's being used. There's my boring answer.
No, it's good. And I do feel that way about any technology, which is like the teenage part of me is excited, but I think it can only go bad if introduced into this society. So I'm a Luddite until the revolution.
Well,
at which
and those
point
guys
I'll
are
be
right.
geeky again.
The Luddites are right. Those
Luddites
guys are
have been
right.
consistent, but they've like, you know, they've been recast as, you know, tech fools. They've been recast as like 60-year-olds who don't know how to open Outlook, but like they were like, we just want a job. We don't want these new machines to come in and chuck us out of having.
I've installed this. I've installed this TikTok, and it all seems to be for some reason just like teenage girls. What's just like trying to be sexy? I don't want that. Why is that on the For You page? Dad, you okay?
I've been trying to find the snooker scores, and it's just a 19-year-old talking about microaggressions. Who potted the black? The thing that gets me in a lot of cyberpunk fiction, you know, they're contrasting, you know, the corporate dystopia, but they, you know, they clearly are fascinated by like the coolness of having like a metal arm.
Yeah.
But within
what are we talking?
it,
Are we talking William Gibson? What are we talking?
yeah, I think Gibson.
Yeah.
And who's the other guy? Neil Stephenson.
Yeah.
In order for those things to like work and be full of possibility, events seem to happen, and it's like there's too much freedom available because you'd be like, well, no, if you've got one arm, almost nothing would be compatible with it in a corporate dystopia. It's not, you know, your arm won't be Creative Commons. It will just have like two modules. Because you go to these like underground doctors who could be like, I can put this in or I can give you this. And it's like, you would know how to do three things. Everything else is locked behind patents. These wouldn't be almost nothing would be compatible with anything else.
You do not want to put the people who came up with all the different USB connectors in charge of your body in any way.
Because it would be like obsolete.
At the moment, it's probably too expensive, so it would be exclusion. It would be very exclusive to the super wealthy. But as soon as it becomes, like smartphones. So there's a thing, isn't there, of like people saying the idea that a smartphone is a luxury, but actually, what it would be extremely difficult to exist in society, like a global North society, or even beyond that, without a smartphone, without like internet access or like a phone number. Like how the fuck would you apply for jobs or access your bank? Like there's things develop in a way that they become not by any law but by default a necessity, and that is the means by which sort of horrific cyberpunk stuff would come to dominate as well. With all, if you think about smartphones and how fucked all the elements of that are, just it's going to be that, but integrated into your flesh and bones.
Yeah, and even on the smartphones thing, so many people who are like university educated but still have like the beginner job or even the pre-beginner job or even just 0 hours in a warehouse. It's because a lot of these people, especially because there was a higher intake of people going to university, they have literally no social capital because a lot of institutions presume like, oh, your dad would have been a dentist, so you just use his contacts when you need to be placed in a dentist's. Yeah. But if you don't even have like a phone, how do you even network and like be part of the society that ambiently employers draw from those pools? You'd be like completely locked out.
That's going to happen, but it's going to be a HDMI port where your eye was.
Well, on the subject of the eye, did you hear about a company called Second Sight?
I am going to guess that they are building a bionic eye.
Yeah, the privatization of biomedical tech.
Yeah.
Because they are private companies, they just go bust. So there are people who were blind. They got technology installed into their eye at a huge price, and the company just went completely bust. This can't be updated. The firmware's gone. It can't even be removed because the engineers who know how to take it out as well as put it in, they've lost their jobs. They don't work in the industry anymore.
Yeah, you can't go to the GP with that, can you?
No one else even knows about it because it was American. So it's under so many patent laws, you're not allowed to know how it's designed because even though the company's gone, the patent is still owned.
Yeah.
And it is dangerous to keep it in there. And also now you've gone blind again.
I feel like it would also be dangerous in the current context to put the schematics for a bionic eye on the Creative Commons.
No way. Get it on GitHub. Let anyone 3D print it. 3D print it. Do it at home.
People are going to be modding their dogs so they got a live feed.
But I honestly would rather it was on Creative Commons.
Oh, yeah. I think people will fix it.
It would be better in 2 years. From like 16-year-olds being like, I can sort this.
Yeah, that's true.
Modding it now, you can play Doom on it. You see Doom in your eye.
Yeah. There'd also just be, like, if it's 16-year-olds doing it, there'd be like a nude mod.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you could get porn on it. But do you know what I mean? I think the moment people start body modding, the companies, there's planned obsolescence to make you buy more, but there's also the kind of obsolescence of, well, if we got our business, I don't give a shit about anything because we're dead, we're gone. We don't leave a paper trail or, plans around for the public. Anything that exists in the world is now just detritus, and now it's in your body.
Like microplastics. But worse.
The future skeletons are going to have just bits of tech falling off them.
I think the skeleton will be the only bit that's left. The ruling class will live till they're 700, but it'll just be robo on top of bones.
Just massive, indestructible tanks living forever.
Yeah, but they're sort of like a Theseus's ship.
Yeah.
Where they've been replaced and replaced and replaced.
That's the argument they used to get out of prosecutions.
Yeah, actually, it wasn't that guy that did that.
Yeah. All the bits, because the Theseus ship thing is about, Theseus has got a ship and he's throwing all his stuff off, but then someone else assembles a ship out of what's left. So you do crimes, you assemble someone else out of all the stuff you've discarded, and they go to prison.
Yeah, the forensic guys are like, well, it's very clear that this tiny micro missile was fired from your missile unit. No, I got this on eBay.
Yeah, but that unit has now been installed on him.
Yeah.
And he has a duplication of my brain. So he's at least as guilty. But the law updates so slow. Yeah. You're only allowed to try one person.
God, imagine getting sick of who you were and then just wiping the software of yourself and replacing it with someone else. And there's like people putting their entire personalities, memories, and experiences on Creative Commons. Drag dropping Mel Gibson onto your consciousness. Are you sure you want to replace this?
Oh yeah, are you sure?
Smash return.
Sure? And you never need to go anywhere or experience anything. Like, you don't need to go to Disney World. You just take someone else's memory of Disney World and put it in your head. It's cheaper. Creative Commons. I love museums. I grew up on museums. I spent my childhood in the Birmingham Museum and Art Gallery, staring at a single T-Rex skull until I could hear its voice in my head, urging me to
behave myself
and
calm down.
And into this skull, I projected my response, sending my voice back into the Cretaceous period.
No.
This was only possible because the museum was free. You could literally just pop in and stare through space and time. But in a museum, I am not supposed to be a customer. I am not supposed to be gratified. This is simply where the past is kept. And I like that a lot. When I went to the Post Office and Communications Museum in Luxembourg, the attendant was asleep when I arrived. The past is not a consumer experience. You can look at it if you like, but that is not what it is for. I like that a lot. It feels like we've got less good at preserving the past because it's not really profitable to do so. Capitalism benefits more from decay. It likes things to break. It likes me to go to the shop with stuff that is broken and go, it's broke. I need a new one. Apple has now decided that a telephone lasts about 7 years. That is when they stop supporting it. That is when it stops receiving upgrades. That is when they refuse to fix it. Last year, they lost several lawsuits for rolling out iOS upgrades that would just break your old phones, throttling performance and gutting the battery life. In 2014, France passed a law requiring manufacturers to state on the product, how long is this thing going to last? Within 3 years, all major printer companies in France were standing trial. And you'd think if this was true, someone would just come along and make one that doesn't break. You sell me a product that's what I already got, but this one isn't going to break in a year. I'm there. Why doesn't someone just drag and stand that, you know? Cash in, cash out. Can't the marketplace fix this? Do we live in a marketplace? Maybe the marketplace could deal with it. Couldn't someone just invent one that doesn't break? Did you know there's a light bulb in California that has been switched on since 1901? In the 1920s, global light bulb manufacturers realized the light bulbs are lasting too long. So they formed a global cartel across hundreds of factories across the globe, all agreeing, let's make them break after a bit. And they enforced that with fines and penalties for anyone that was making light bulbs that were too good. Even though maybe one of them could have cornered the market with super long-lasting bulbs, it was in all of their best interest long-term to conspire against the public and keep their industry healthy over generations. In theory, the preservation of media and culture and information should be easier than ever in the digital age. And it would be if it wasn't illegal. There are reams of books and TV shows and movies and video games and music that there is no legal way to acquire. No one uses the rights. No one is publishing them. But if you were to make a copy public, or if someone else were to give you a copy online, that's illegal. What would be called a museum if it was about stamps or thimbles or an egg is piracy if it's about the 2001 PlayStation game Sabrina the Teenage Witch, A Twitch in Time featuring voice acting from Melissa Joan Hart. Something can't be a product and part of the public domain. If the UK government nationalised KFC, the secret recipe would be on the splash page of the website overnight. Paprika, sunflower oil, salt, sweat, dust, mist, ghost, drug, noise, all tamped down with a few swift stamps from Colonel Sanders' massive preserved foot. And it's not the end of the world when we're talking about fried chicken and retro games, but it's exactly the same model we use with healthcare. The COVID vaccine couldn't be mass-produced because it was patented. Medicine is private info, and that means it is intentionally hidden from the public. And so just like when Konami lost the source code for Silent Hill 2, medical companies can go bust. Patent information for pharmaceuticals can get held up in legal limbo or just vanish out of the system. Who exactly can we trust to preserve our memories?
Good afternoon, Birmingham Museums.
Hi, I've got a question about an old exhibit. Can you confirm if there was a T-Rex skull in the main museum in the 90s?
There was a big dinosaur there, wasn't there? There was what they called it, like a T-Rex thing. Yes, there was, and that went a long time ago.
Do you know where it went?
I've heard that it was just dismantled.
Right.
I know. Yeah,
That's very sad.
yeah. I think it was just kind of paper mache, wasn't it?
Sorry, and just to clarify, you're saying it wasn't a real dinosaur skull, it was just a replica?
That's right, yes. We've talked about it in the past, and it was just dismantled because it wasn't worth keeping.
Do you like a pipe?
A pipe?
A pipe.
So I'm going to tell you something.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to tell you something a bit embarrassing.
Yeah.
You know when you go to university
Oh, yeah.
and you think I could be anyone?
I could start using a quill.
Well, do you know, this is why it's embarrassing. This is why it's embarrassing. I don't like this. It's embarrassing.
I can already feel where this is going.
I smoked a pipe
Yes.
for a little bit, but I didn't know how to light it.
Right.
I've
because
never
smoking
smoked a pipe, a new pipe, and again, this could be me doing a really bad job.
Okay.
But a new pipe is very difficult to get going. It's like a wok or one of those cast iron
It
pans.
has to be seasoned.
Do you know what I mean? You need to get the patina going. Pipina. I used this. It was just a thing I bought from a tobacconist thinking this, because I smoked at the time. I thought this would be fun. Would I enjoy smoking from a pipe? But around Freshers' time, I used it as like an icebreaker, going up to other smokers and being like, can you get this lit?
Oh,
can you like this?
God, like the pros.
Yeah, I looked at the most haggard people in the smoking area, the people who look like they've smoked all kinds of things. And be like, can you get this lit? And it worked, you know. One of the first people I went up to, I lived in second year, had an awful time, absolutely awful time.
Yeah.
Really, really bad environment. But, you know, foot in the door, you know.
Yes.
Not completely lonely.
Yes. Smoking air is crucial because you can talk to people, whereas inside is loud.
Because I was dragged to I'm going to go off on a tangent here.
Tang.
I was always a smoking area guy. I was always brought to the nightclub. It's too much, right? I actually hate the nightclub, but I've been going to nightclubs since I was a teenager. Yeah. Shout out to Hull Spiders nightclub, one of the best in the country. If you've been to Spiders, you will know it's one of the best. Yeah. You can buy toast there.
Fucking
There's a hatch. You can buy toast, and you can buy a cigar. And I think from the same hatch. You can literally go to the nightclub, get a drink, get some toast, get a cigar, sit outside.
Wow. I want to do
amazing.
I want to do like a Mando's with whoever runs that club.
We can get them on. We could definitely get them on.
I'm fascinated by the business nous of toast to business.
Patreon special, just a long form interview with the people who run Spiders. And so I spent so much time in the smoking area. I devised a game, like a parlor game, that we only played in the smoking area, and it was a variation of the board game Articulate.
Yes, okay.
So what you would do is you'd take the timer from an Articulate board game.
Yeah.
You'd bring it to the club.
Yeah.
You'd go in the smoking area, and the idea was people are hanging around. Normally people are just drinking like vodka mixers, right? So everyone's got the same drink, more or less. And the idea is you just think of a word, think of anything, and you think of someone else who will overestimate how many other people in this crowd will be familiar with this term.
Okay.
Then you go up to them, you say, I challenge you with the following term, and you whisper in their ear. They can accept or deny. If they accept, they have the sand timer's worth of time to, by Articulate rules. You can't say the term, but you describe it. If anyone else there can get it, they lose like a finger of their drink into your cup. and you're gambling on your drinks.
Oh my.
And you just spend the whole night trying not to pay for anything and just win it through Articulate.
Now that's gambling.
It was so popular that our crowd, it swelled. Strangers would see the timer.
Yeah.
And be like, are you playing Articulate? And it would just become the game became too big. It became untenable. It's like when I created a game in secondary school.
Okay.
And it was so popular that it morphed and people stopped accepting that I invented it. And then people wouldn't let me play.
Oh, that is fucked.
Well, I refused to play with their rules. I considered that I considered it some offshoot.
Like when someone tries to change Dungeons and Dragons and like Wizards of the Coast sue them.
Except I didn't have the legal power,
It's like heresy. Yeah, you don't have.
Yeah, I was in year 8.
You should have incorporated. As soon as you had the idea, you should have paid.
I needed to get pen to paper.
Yeah.
Or witnesses. Didn't happen. But anyway, yeah, pipe's great.
So by pipe, I didn't mean that pipe. I meant like a tube that conveys.
I like cylinders,
pipe, water pipe, petrol pipe.
I'll go halfway. I love a good cylinder, but I don't like a pipe.
You don't like a pipe system? I am quite susceptible to a pipe.
You might be a bit more handy than me overall. I see pipes as danger.
Some pipes are danger. Gas pipes are danger.
Even water pipes can be danger.
High pressure water pipe can be danger.
No, but a low pressure water pipe could be danger. The kind of where's this puddle coming from danger? That's my afternoon gone danger.
Yeah, listen, let's not start talking about damp. That's an entire episode of Mando's of just me complaining about damp. But mate, I love a pipe. I love the different kinds of pipe. I love that there is like a network of pipes that connects us all.
I like a wire.
A wire is kind of a pipe for electricity.
Well, I don't know. I think you're trying to create some sort of grand unified theory.
Unified theory of pipe. Well, actually, I say I'm talking about a different pipe, but really the smoking pipe is also a pipe because if it's like a tube for conveying.
It is, yeah. 100%.
So is like a saxophone.
A bong is a pipe.
So is a saxophone.
Yeah.
I wonder how the smoking pipe, gets the name pipe, whereas like a trumpet isn't a pipe.
We could say the pipes.
Yeah, you could, yeah.
Playing the pipes, and even singing is sometimes the pipes.
Yeah, the pipes. I guess that's a pipe, isn't it? We are pipe.
Yeah. Organs have pipes as well, and they're just
pipes. Blood pipe, food pipe. Big fan of pipes. The pipes I'm talking about is like, I just the idea that like gas can be piped in. That's cool. Water, it's piped in. The stuff you don't want that's coming out, that's piped out. And it's a network of pipes, and also it's all different kinds of pipes. There's like Roman pipes still in the game all across England, and then there's like new fresh pipes. I also like a stink pipe. Are you aware of the stink pipe?
It's a new term,
mate. Sewers build up like gas. One of the things that led to the sewer construction, as well as the just outright stench in England, in English cities, was that because people were just putting waste everywhere, methane would build up, like pockets of methane, and then just explode.
I lived next to one of these. Now I know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. So it's a pipe that comes. It kind of looks like just like a street lamp or something, but it hasn't got a lamp on it, and it just comes. Although there were ones that were modified to like burn the off gas to make lights, right? Yeah. Is that what you were buying?
If you go on the thing you're describing, if you go on the Wikipedia page for it, it will dox what my last house.
I mean, well, don't say that.
Well, I don't live there now. You can dox the past.
Yeah. Dox past Sean.
Yeah, go and rob some strangers if you like.
Yeah, the stink pipe. I think when you know to look for them, or when you see one, you're like, it's a stink pipe, because you're probably walking past one in your life.
Well, up hills, right? Because when the methane rises, it rises wherever there's elevation. Yeah. So the higher the hill, living in a city like Sheffield, sewer explosions are a genuine issue because the pressure will build up on these ridiculous elevations.
But do you know about the secret jet fuel pipe?
No.
There is a network built in World War II of pipes that carries jet fuel.
Okay.
And it is across England. There's like 1,500 miles of it. And they built it at night, so the Nazis would never like find, because if you blew that up, it would, number one, big massive explosion, because it's 1,000 miles of pipe with jet fuel in it. But
because
also,
the explosion would carry through, like if you blow up any one bit, surely that fire will just go right through the system.
And now you see why it's a secret jet fuel pipe.
It's all making sense.
It's all coming together. And also you would disable the Air Force. So they built in World War II a fuel pipe network at night, which I think was privatised by the Cameron Liberal Democrat Tory coalition. And
so the fuel pipe is still in operation, and now it's run by a private company.
But they just use it now just for the airports. You know, like EasyJet is topping up off it.
Right, okay, off the secret...
of the pipe network.
War pipe.
Yeah. Because they just added to it, right? That's another pipe. So I guess my question for you, Sean, is what else are you piping in? Can I give you my suggestion?
Are you suggesting a new pipe?
A new pipe.
Okay.
And this isn't a radical pipe. This is a pipe that exists in some ways elsewhere.
Okay.
And the pipe is simply heating pipe. Instead of having a boiler in each individual house or flat, there is like a big boiler.
A master boiler.
Like the master boiler, like the town boiler. Obviously, it's got like a backup, whatever. And then that just pipes hot water. And I know you're afraid of pipes. I really think you're not the person to ask about this pipe suggestion.
Well, you've definitely invented a new scary pipe.
I guess it's scary, but I also think like having a boiler in each house. I don't know if that is like, if you think about how boilers work, they're quite a scary device.
And that's true. That's true. But it means there's a little bit of what's scary about a boiler, just spider web sneaking around everywhere. At least if one boiler goes off, it's one boiler goes off.
Yeah.
You know, sorry about them, but I'm okay. You know, if the big boiler goes off, that's the precinct done. And maybe...
yeah, but are you saying you want to have an individual electricity generator?
No, I don't
and your
want
own
that.
broadband provider that runs in your house?
Yeah, a mobile phone mast on every house.
Oh, yeah.
That's just for my phone.
Yeah, don't you dare touch it.
Yeah, can't go on a long walk so no one can ring me.
But I think it would be so much more efficient because you could make a big, efficient heating thing, especially for flats. It is bonkers that British flats have like an individual... Obviously, the fucking gas companies and boiler companies have an interest in that. But like, instead of having like the boiler for the high rise, there is like either an individual boiler inside each flat, or there is like those horrible electric storage heaters.
This is my boring answer, and I'm not a scientist, but I would have thought the obvious reason is because
anytime someone says something, I'm not a scientist, something amazing's coming.
Well, no, I think it's a good piece of humility. I think it's a good piece of humility. It's not one of those real red flag phrases like "I'm not being funny," but
it's nowhere
it's
near
a piece
that.
of humility.
No. I normally like what happens. I normally, if someone says I'm not being funny, but I know I'm not going to like it. If someone says I'm no scientist, but I know I'm going to like what's coming next.
That's good, yeah.
I might not agree with it, but I know I'm going to like it. Something's coming.
When someone says I'm not being funny, but whatever they say, I always think you thought someone was going to think that was funny.
You thought that was a joke?
That was your concern that someone was going to think that was funny?
Yeah.
That's not the risk of that statement.
You thought turning homeless people into meat was a joke?
You thought people were going to hear that and start laughing, and that's what you're trying to guard against?
Yeah, you're a psycho.
There's loads of other caveats you should have put there instead of that.
You should have said, I'm not being serious.
Yeah, I'm not sane, but...
Yeah.
I'm not sane, but I deserve a turn to speak. Heat will dissipate, right? Like, if you beam electricity... I don't know if some of it escapes, but...
Beam electricity?
Pipe it. If you pipe electricity... You've got roughly the same amount of electricity at the end, but if you pipe a lot of hot water...
Mate, someone's missed. Have you just completely forgotten, like, AC, DC?
I know roughly how electricity is created, and then it goes along conductive wire. I think the maintenance of voltage over long distance is a lot more efficient than the maintenance of how hot some water is over, like, a mile of pipes.
Yeah.
That's my objection.
Do you know about insulation?
I think you're still going to lose. You're still going to lose some heat. Just under the... That's probably why we have individuated boilers, right? Because
do you reckon?
Water...
Do you think
probably
that's like
not. No, historically, no. Historically, no. Historically, no. No, not at all. Historically, no. I think it's because a lot of these houses were made... I mean, living in the north, a lot of these houses were made for people who... No one ever thought they were going to get heating. And then when we tried to... When heating had to be put in, it was like you don't get this little room. Yeah. You don't get this little room anymore. I'm knocking a hole in here so that you can... That was the only solution people could think of. Or that it was like an individual... I don't know enough. I'm talking out my ass now.
Are you anti big boiler?
No, I want the big boiler now. I want the big boiler.
I agree with you that there'd be problems for the... If you're trying to do big boiler, there's definitely going to be... Like, you're right, there's issues. But you solve the issues. And also, there's those things exist elsewhere.
And you could go up and you could observe the big boiler. Yeah. The thing I want for the big boiler...
a viewing platform.
Everything else that's like, you know, we don't have phone relays and stuff inside our houses, but there are some in the street, and we don't have phone masts in our houses. There are some in the street, but they're made to look boring and unobtrusive.
Yes.
Whereas I think the big boiler should be like a city centre Christmas tree.
Yeah.
It should be fun. You should want to go there. There should be a way to interact with it. You should be able to turn up the heating up and down for the city. Not by much.
In addition to like council elections, we all have to vote on the thermostat.
Yeah, we have to vote on each press. Every year, we're going to do one of three things. We're going to press hotter, we're going to press colder, or just don't touch it.
Just leave it. Just bloody leave it.
Just leave it. Yeah, this was good. This was all right. I got a pipe for you.
I hoped you'd have a pipe. What's your pipe?
Food. It's in your kitchen.
I'm in your kitchen. Oh, this isn't going to be good.
There's a third tap.
Yeah.
And it's fuel.
Oh, fuck that.
Pay in. It comes out of your council tax.
And we can vote on what flavour.
Well, you could vote to change it for porridge or something, but it has to be able to be pushed through a pipe. Mushy peas. One week it could be dal.
Oh.
You wouldn't mind a dal?
Well, what's bloody happening in the transition if you're going from porridge to dal? Something's happening. You have to keep running it for a bit.
There'll be a day where it's like a bit of both.
Oh, Christ almighty.
I think it might be nice. Some might transition well.
Yeah.
Mushy peas into dal.
And where's all this coming from?
Right.
Where's, like the big boiler, is there like a restaurant or like a factory that is making this food and then they pour it into like a big funnel?
Yeah, and then it has to be obviously like pressurized into this machine somehow.
I was going to ask you how high pressure is it?
It has to be really high
people
pressure,
with standpoint, a landlord showing
otherwise it won't move, right?
Well, yeah, but how high pressure? You know, like someone showing you a house, like a landlord's like, oh, actually the shower's really good, and they turn it on, show you how high pressure it is. You wouldn't want the low pressure. Would you want the low pressure or the high pressure gruel tap?
Well, I just think it would need an immense amount of pressure in order to get it to move through the pipes at all. So we're talking like sometimes it'll explode kind of pressure. We're talking like there'll be real issues. Sometimes you'll have to bleed it.
Oh. Somehow you've crossed the pipes over and there's dal in your radiators.
Yeah. It's still very warm, though.
Yeah. I feel like dal's going to lose temperature even worse than the water.
Maybe we just have those pipes kind of going side by side.
Yeah. They keep each other warm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Smart.
Well, maybe, actually, if we keep the dal warm enough and insulate that,
it can be
used
use
for that in the heating.
Yes.
And it goes through all your heating pipes, and then lastly it comes out of the tap and you eat it. That's efficient.
Now this is big brain thinking. This is solving, because you've just turned two pipes into one pipe there. You've saved the socialist state billions.
And you could get some of the hot water out. No need for kettles anymore.
Exactly. Just
comes out boiling. Yeah, boiling water and dal every day.
Yeah. Dal comes out, slap a tea bag in it. Delicious.
Yeah. Everyone's meal is horrible, but everyone can eat.
Gruel pipe.
Gruel pipe.
Sean Morley's gruel pipe.
No.
Mandatory Redistribution Party was created, produced and piped by Sean Morley and Jack Lewis Evans. Our title theme was created by Ella Jean with additional music from Sean Morley. Our live comedy show entitled Hostile Takeover will be performed in Manchester on Wednesday the 20th of April, Sheffield on Thursday the 21st of April and London on Saturday the 28th of May. Check the episode description for more details. Thank you so much for listening, and thanks so much to those of you who support us by sharing this episode on social media, as well as those of you who support our work at patreon.com/mandatory redistribution party. Thank you so much for making this podcast possible. Farewell.